All right, hi guys. We've got 46 students here, so we're getting close to the number enrolled. But welcome to Pathophysiology. A couple things before we get started. One is I'd like you to turn your cameras on, please, so that I can see you. It makes my job easier leading the course. It's nice for you to see each other because hopefully at some point you'll actually be able to interact face to face. And it also helps me to know that you're here and present. So I'll continually remind you to turn your cameras on, please. And I understand everybody has the need periodically to turn their camera off. If you need to take a break for some reason, that's okay. But generally speaking, I would like your cameras to be on, please. Another note is hopefully it looks like almost all of you are here, but if you have had any trouble getting into a Teams meeting, one of the issues might be if you try to go through your email in another account like Gmail, it may not work. So I have to let you in as a guest if your computer is not labeling you as coming from your North Park account. So the best thing to do is just always sign in through the invitation in Outlook, and then you shouldn't have any troubles. We've all been Zooming a lot for the last year, so I'm sure you're tired of Zoom or Teams. I'm tired too. This is a poor surrogate for being together in class, so I'm sorry about that. I'm hoping that over the next few months that we'll be able to change that, certainly hopefully by the fall. But for the meantime, this is what we have and we're kind of stuck with it. I also have to let you know that you are being recorded. I don't release the recording anywhere else except to you guys, so it's an opportunity for you to go back and look at things that we might have covered or things you might have questions about. So please feel free to do that. I will release the recording of our Teams meetings when I get them back. All right, so again, a reminder, a lot of you don't have your cameras on, so I'd appreciate it if you'd go ahead and turn your cameras on so we can see you, know who you are, know you're here, and know you're participating. I'm also going to take attendance every day. And for a few of you, you're repeating the class. This is new. We had quite a few problems last semester with students not attending class. And so I've changed the attendance policy. Attendance for every class is now required. So you must be at every class. Absolutely must. You miss a single class, you risk failing the class. Now, I understand that things come up. People have emergencies. I've been teaching for 30 years, and I have emergencies myself. So if an emergency comes up, your obligation then is to let me know, and we'll make arrangements for something. So I understand that can happen, and you don't need to worry about that. I'm not an ogre, so I'm very happy to be accommodating if something comes up. All right, so at some point I will take attendance. Normally in future classes, I'll take it right at 12:40. So that'll be one of the first things that I'll do when we start our Teams meeting is to go ahead and take attendance. So for those of you who don't know me, I want to introduce myself. My name's Dr. Keith Boyd. I am a physician. I've been in practice for a long time. I started my practice in Massachusetts, then moved to Chicago for a position at Rush University Medical Center. I've been at Rush for about 25 years now. I've worked in a variety of different settings. I've been a hospitalist, I've been a primary care physician, I've worked as a medical consultant for the Rush Child Psychiatry Unit, and I still work at Rush part-time. I work at North Park most of the time now, but I'm at Rush primarily teaching medical students a couple days a week. So I really enjoyed your introductions to each other. So for those of you who put in introduction into the discussion section of Canvas, I really appreciated reading those. You're a very interesting group of people. You're a diverse group of people. You have lots of different interests. You're from all over the world. There's some of you taking the course from different points in the planet. And many of you have your families of origin from other countries, which is also very interesting to read about. So a large number of you also have your roots in Chicago. So North Park, as you know, attracts a fair number of students from the Chicago area. But we also have a lot of students from elsewhere, not only across the country, but across the globe. So a couple things that were really highlights for me as I read your introductions was a lot of you are either artists or very interested in art. A couple of you posted some of your drawings and paintings, which I thought were fabulous. I happen to be a huge dog lover, so I was particularly drawn, of course, to the paintings of dogs and the pictures of the puppies. Oh my God, that was a pretty cute batch of puppies. A lot of you like to cook, some of you bake, but more importantly, most of you like to eat, which is awesome. I also love to eat. That's one of my favorite things. And one of the great things about living in Chicago is the ability to check out all different interesting ethnic restaurants. So I love going out to eat, to find different restaurants. Many of you acknowledge your addiction to caffeine. Which is, can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. Just have to moderate your intake, everything in moderation. Some of you enjoy finding new little coffee bars and places to explore, cafes and the like. Some of you play board games. A couple of you actually build computers. We all use computers, but a couple of you actually build computers. So I was pretty impressed with that. I can't even imagine what it takes to build a computer. I like board games too. If you're interested in board games, I recently purchased a game that has an unfortunate name, but is a really good game. It's called Pandemic. It was actually developed before the pandemic, and it's a really fun cooperative game. If you're looking for a game that you can play inside your social bubble, got really good reviews when it was reviewed by the New York Times, and I had my kids home for the holidays. We were lucky that we could all travel safely, and we played Pandemic and had a great time. Many of you are travelers, or you want to be travelers. Some of you have traveled to pretty exotic places. A couple of you have served in the military. Special thanks to you for doing that. We all appreciate it very much. Many of you are either musicians or, like me, you're music lovers. So you enjoy listening to different kinds of music. A number of you are hikers, some of you are bikers. Those are my two passions. I love hiking and biking, and I fairly recently acquired a fat bike. So for those of you who are not bikers, it's a bike with these big fat tires. They're like 4 inches wide, and they have very little pressure in them, so they feel like they're riding, you're like riding on an air mattress. And I've ridden that the last couple days. You can ride it even in the snow. I've got some tires that actually have little metal spikes in them, so you can ride over snow and ice, and it's quite a hoot, actually. So you might see me coming and going to campus on days you're there in my fat bike. I also like to hike. I have a tradition for the last about 15 years now, going with a bunch of friends of mine to Colorado to hike 14,000-foot mountains, which is quite an experience. We don't ever use equipment, just mountains that you can climb with your hiking boots and get up to the top in a day. It's a lot of fun. Many of you play different sports: fencing, soccer, basketball, volleyball, skiing, running, ultimate frisbee, gymnastics, and others. Some of you speak other languages. Some of you speak Hebrew. Others of you are learning to speak Hebrew. And the puppies, oh my God, the puppies. I was like, boy, if I had learned about those puppies at the time, I would have tried to snag one. They were awful cute. So if you haven't had a chance to introduce yourself to your classmates in the discussion board, please go ahead and do that. So I'm going to just take a minute to take attendance real quick. So I'm sorry, I have a hard time multitasking sometimes.
Excuse me, Professor?
Yes.
My friend Jennifer Coriel, who's also in this course, she's trying to join, but she said that she didn't get the calendar invite and she can't figure out a way to join.
Okay, could you do me a favor and ask her to please take a look at her North Park Outlook email specifically?
Yes, I did. I told her like everything and she said somehow, some way she can't find it.
Okay. I'll try to deal with it at the break, but if you could have her text, you can message her and have her text my cell phone.
Okay.
The number is on the front page of the syllabus in Canvas. And if she texts my cell phone, then I can try to call her during the break and see if I can help her out with what the problem is.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
You bet. A good opportunity to pause and say, are there any other questions? Anybody have any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand. You can, I will open the chat box here. So you can put a message in the chat if you'd like. We're going to cover a lot today, so it's going to be kind of a whirlwind tour of what's happening. And again, for those of you who do not have your cameras on, I would really appreciate it if you would put your camera on, turn your camera on so that we can all see you and know that you're with us and paying attention and here. So if your camera is off, please turn it on. If you're ever late for a good reason, will that be held against us? Absolutely not. If you have a good reason, I'll never hold it against you. So all of us have good reasons for being late. Things come up. Please just let me know. But I will be tracking attendance and I'll be contacting you if you miss a class. If you're late to a class and so I don't catch you on the attendance list, just shoot me an email, explain to me what happened, and I'm sure we can work it out. All right, so what are we going to try to cover today? We may not get through all of this. Some of it might have to carry over to Monday, which is fine because I've reserved Monday for a continuation. Not a problem. We're going to cover the syllabus. We're going to go through the Canvas, what's on Canvas. We're going to talk about the core case list, talk about your case presentation assignment, talk about supplemental instruction, the process for testing, especially through Respondus, and then we'll go through some supplemental resources. So first, a couple things right off the bat. Just you should bring your laptop to class with you. I highly encourage that. I think effective use of technology in the classroom is a very effective teaching tool. It's a very effective learning tool. So there will be times in the class where I might even ask you to look something up. You might need to look for a link in Canvas or a document in Canvas. So if you're able to bring a laptop to class, that's a good thing to do. Supplemental instruction is being managed by Liz Stengel. Liz took the class a couple years ago. She was and continues to be a stellar student. She did a fabulous job in the course. She's now going into her third term as the supplemental instructor for the course. She does a great job, and she will be communicating to you about those sessions. Those will be every Monday and Wednesday at 11:30 in the morning. They last for about an hour, so you'll be done in time for class on Mondays, and then there's an additional session on Wednesdays. You are welcome to go to any and all of those sessions. You're strongly encouraged to do so. I think you'll find them very, very helpful. And Liz, like me, would appreciate if you would send us questions in advance by email. So while you're studying, you develop a question that you'd like to either cover in class or you'd like to cover it in supplemental instruction, then feel free to send either Liz or myself an email, let us know. And that way we can be prepared to answer your question.
I got a question involving SI.
Yes.
Is there a difference between the SI for Monday and Wednesday, or are they?
So
I'm sorry.
That's a good question to ask Liz, but I think generally she does something different each session. You can talk to her about what her plan is, but in the past she has done something different each session. And she can also make recordings of those sessions available to you if you're unable to attend a particular session. Does that help, David?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions?
I just wanted to ask, I saw in the syllabus that it said that the SI sessions are extra credit. I just wanted to know if that was the case or not.
Indeed. What's in the syllabus is gospel. All right.
Okay.
So,
all right, just making sure. Thank you.
yeah, the syllabus, I consider the syllabus my contract with you. It's our learning contract. So whatever is in the syllabus that's your source of truth. So when you have a question, first check the syllabus. If it says it in the syllabus, it's the truth. So we'll go over the syllabus page by page. Yeah, Hannah, I think you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so with that, if I know that I can't come to SI on Wednesdays, but I see the recording, could I still get extra credit potentially, or no?
Well, you get 10 points of extra credit for each session that you attend, up to a maximum of 100 points. And so if you're able to attend 10 sessions on the alternate days, you should be okay. And then you can watch the recordings of the days you can't attend.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Other questions?
Yes, Professor. Just one quick one.
Sure.
When we're in class and you're advising us to bring our laptop, would you also, instead of a laptop, advise like a tablet? Would that be okay?
You are welcome to bring whatever tool enhances your learning. So, you're welcome to use whatever techniques work best for you. I know that I believe that, for example, the psychology department at North Park actually prohibits students from having laptops in class, and I just have a very different philosophy. My philosophy about the use of computers revolves around the fact that you guys are all going to be healthcare professionals, and computer tools are going to be your best friend. And you need to know how to interact with patients while effectively using a device. You need to know how to learn in class while effectively using technology. So some of you will be tempted to be on Facebook or do crossword puzzles. That's up to you. I mean, I'm not going to be looking over your shoulder. You need to learn how to manage multitasking and need to learn how to manage technology and devices that are available to you. But I can tell you that some of the best devices are the best sources of information in medicine now are on your smartphone. And so it makes perfect sense for you to be rounding or seeing a patient and say to the patient, I'm going to use my phone to check XYZ. Right? So you let the patient know what you're doing so they don't feel like you're checking Facebook or texting your friends. But some of the tools that are available now are just great tools to have at the bedside. It's great. You guys are asking awesome questions. Thank you. So any recording that when I'm in the classroom, will be on Teams. Will be on Echo. So the classroom records in Echo, which you have available in Canvas. Any Teams meeting that we have as an all class, like this one, there will be a Teams recording that I'll convert to a YouTube. So I download it, convert it to a YouTube, I'll send you the link. It's super easy that way. Okay, but otherwise you can normally look for class recordings in Echo, which is the system that's already set up in the classroom. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. So I won't be able to see the chat anymore. So if you have a question, please go ahead and unmute your mic and ask your question. We're going to start by going over the syllabus. And I'm just going to maximize it here so that hopefully you can all see it. Can somebody unmute and just tell me that that's large enough for you to see?
Yeah.
Can it be?
Thank you. Great. So as I said before, this is my teaching contract with you. And I consider everything in here to be material information that's important for you to know, but it's also my contractual arrangement with you. The course is called a hybrid and a high flex course, meaning that it's hybrid, that you are expected to do a lot of independent learning on your own in order to prepare for class. And that material is already loaded into Canvas. It's all available to you. And one of the things we'll do today too is go over the Canvas shell. So I'll show you everything that's in the Canvas shell and all of the resources that are there. It's also a high flex course, which means that half of you will be in the room live and half of you will be at home or somewhere else on the internet watching the class live on Teams. So we meet Mondays and Fridays from 12:40 to 2:20. We're assigned to Johnson, room 314. So as I mentioned in the announcements in Canvas, you're broken into 2 sections, and we'll go over the schedule for those 2 sections. Here's my contact information. I prefer, if you don't mind, if it's a routine issue, if you would contact me through my North Park email address. If you have an urgent matter that you need to speak with me about, I'm happy to have you text my cell phone. If, for example, I'm in the middle of teaching, for example, it's better to receive a text. I won't be able to receive a call. But outside class, if you have an urgent matter, you're also welcome to call me. I do have office hours from 10:30 to 12 every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I'm more than happy to arrange a time outside of that to meet with you if that doesn't fit well with your schedule. Here's the information about SI. Liz is the supplemental instructor. She is available. She also prefers that you contact her through her email. She's very good about checking that. And SI sessions will start. I have to check with Liz. I don't know whether she has one planned for Monday or not. Did she contact you guys yet? Did she say anything about Monday?
Professor?
Yes.
So we actually made a Microsoft Teams account. She necessarily didn't give us information, but I know she made that open and she added everyone to
Okay.
Microsoft Teams.
So
We
she's
didn't
already-
get like an information about saying when we're gonna do it. We just see her setting it up. But
Okay, so I'll remind her just to send you guys an email with the session, when the session for SI will start. All right, this is just a welcome letter. It's got some information that you might want to review about how to succeed, what the expectations are for the workload, the use of the hybrid and high flex models, how your learning is assessed, how the course is organized, SI, and how to contact me. Just right off the bat, it's really important for me to mention that this is a high demand course. At times you'll feel like you're trying to drink from a fire hose. But what is absolutely necessary is for you to commit the time and energy to succeed in the course. And that is, I'm told from past students, is a much greater commitment in time than some other courses that you might have taken or you might be used to. So I just don't want that to be a surprise. The human body is complicated and there's a lot to learn. So here are the course descriptions and objectives. These are right out of the course catalog. There are also module objectives that can be found at the start of every module, but also in the course plan, which I'll show you in Canvas. For the textbook, there is a required textbook. It's called Understanding Pathophysiology. And I have my copy here. This is actually the copy I keep at home. It's the 5th edition. The course was built off the 6th edition, and the textbook is now in the 7th edition. You are welcome to purchase the 5th or the 7th editions if you would like. But I don't know what the differences are in the content. I can't possibly know. So the course is built off the 6th edition, but I don't think there'd be a problem if you decided you wanted to use the 5th edition, which is this one. I know that you can rent the book on Amazon. I know that you can buy it used. I've seen copies for as little as 20 bucks. But I can assure you, you need to buy the book and you need to read it. So the exams in this course, all of the tests in this course are built off the textbook. So if you don't read the textbook, you won't be able to pass the course. A couple other recommendations. Within Canvas, I've built 2 other resources for you. These are both posted to Canvas. There are 100 case studies in pathophysiology, and there's pathophysiology cases that have built-in multiple choice questions and answers. So that's a good opportunity for you to be able to practice the kinds of questions that you're going to see on exams. For those of you who like different forms of learning, I'm a huge fan of osmosis, and I will show you some of the features of osmosis. It has its own YouTube channel. If you're willing to enter some basic information, you don't need to pay for the premium account, but it does help if you open an account, the free account. There is an option for you to check off a box that says that you're a nursing student. And I think you'll find, for those of you who like to learn by video, it's a very useful tool. In addition, and especially for your case presentation, there's a resource called Up to Date, and that's available through the North Park Library. So I've listed for you the pathway here that you should follow to get to that. The library also has a whole bunch of other health science resources that can be very useful, and those are also available off the library's website. And then finally, many students in the past have found this book very helpful. It's called the 5-Minute Consult. You can see that this is the 2019 version. So it comes out every year, and the most recent version can be pretty expensive. This one, like many of the books that I have, I also bought used. There is absolutely no problem in you buying a copy of this book that's a couple years old. Again, you can find some very inexpensive used copies available. The reason I find that textbook particularly useful is because throughout the course, you'll hear both Liz and I refer to what we call disease sheets. What is a disease sheet? A disease sheet is built off the model in this book. So if you open the book, everything's listed alphabetically. So if you open the book, I just want to pick something you've probably heard of. Let's do carpal tunnel syndrome, right? So this is the entry for carpal tunnel syndrome. It's always on 2 pages. And what you'll find is that the layout for every disease is exactly the same. And so it starts with what they call the basics, a description of the disease, the epidemiology, which is what kinds of patients suffer from this disease, what is the typical profile of the patient, goes over incidence, prevalence, and etiology and pathophysiology. That's all in this first column. So in this first column already, you've covered a lot of really important information. The rest of it goes on to cover risk factors, history and physical exam that are associated likely with the condition. And then this whole side is about treatment. And I never expect you to know about treatment. We will talk about treatment sometimes, especially when it's a good way to illustrate pathophysiology, but I don't expect you to know about treatment, and I don't test you on treatment. So anything about treatment is not something that that you're expected to know. There is a little bit here at the very end. It's called clinical pearls. Those are always good to read because they're little things that are helpful to remember about that particular disease. There is a copy of this book on reserve in the library. But as I said, many students in the past have felt that this was an incredibly useful resource, not only for this class, but for the rest of their career. I refer to this book all the time. So we'll talk a little bit more about the flipped classroom in a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to show you today. There's information about the technical requirements that you need for both Respondus and Canvas. Some of the basic technical skills you need, like learning how to manage the learning management system that is Canvas and how to navigate through that, daily use of your email, use of Microsoft Office Suite products, in particular PowerPoint. You're going to need to use PowerPoint. And then I also expect you to know how to prepare a YouTube video, but I give you very detailed instructions. So I'm not particularly technically savvy, and I'm able to manage it. So I don't think you'll have problems with it. There are a number of sources where you can seek technical help. The IT people at North Park I find are incredibly helpful. You can also use the Center for Online Education if it's a question specifically about the online nature of your education. I often, not often, but I have in the past stopped by the help desk on campus when I've been on campus and I've been having a problem. So they're super helpful. If you have a problem related to Respondus, if you figure out that that's the source of your problem, the best thing to do is contact the Respondus support people. And I've listed those resources for you as well. So here's some information I'll let you cover on your own. I'm not going to go over this, but this is basically built off advice that I've received from past students who were successful in the course. And if you go through these suggestions, I think it will benefit you in your success in the course. I don't expect you to memorize things, and I really encourage you not to use memorization as your primary form of study because it's a lot harder than actually understanding something. So to memorize something might initially seem easier, but in the long run, learning how to understand something is going to serve you much better, and you'll do better in the future with exams and working with patients and all sorts of other situations where you'll operate much better if you actually understand something as opposed to memorizing it. So having said that, I give you a list of things here that I do expect you to memorize. So you need to have a sense of what's normal within vital signs and within some of the basic lab values that we work with. I don't think you need to worry about memorizing ranges. So if you're going to try to remember what's the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in a blood gas, remember 40. And then just sort of have in the back of your head, oh, it's, plus or minus 5, right? So you don't need to memorize the range. If I give you an abnormal on a test, it's going to be significantly abnormal. It's probably not going to be right on the border. So there are two types of tests in the course. One is what I call a quiz, the other is what I call an exam. With the exception of the first quiz, which is going to be on Respondus on Monday, all the other quizzes 2 through 8, are open book. You take them on Canvas. The only restriction you have is that you have to follow the honor code, which means you are not allowed to communicate with any other person during the exam. So you are allowed to use your notes, you're allowed to use the textbook, you are allowed to use the internet, although that's often not the best way to find answers. The best way to prepare for a quiz is to study and organize your notes and have your notes very well organized when you're taking the quiz so you can find the information that you need at the time that you need it. But all quizzes 2 through 8 will be open book. Only quiz 1 is done on Respondus Monitor. All your exams, on the other hand, are going to be on Respondus Monitor. Those are closed book, and we'll go over some of the requirements for Respondus. Many of you have already taken the practice test in Respondus. I developed that specifically to give you an opportunity to practice taking an exam in Respondus and make sure it works, make sure you feel okay about it. It's a no stakes test. It doesn't count for anything other than to give you a chance to test your system and see how it feels to answer one question every minute, and then upload your exam. I will review those videos and we'll go over, again, towards the end of today, we'll go over the requirements of Respondus. I get a video and audio recording of your entire test session, and it's flagged with areas that the system shows me where there might have been breaches in the honor code. So we'll talk about how to avoid those. The case presentation we'll talk a lot about on Monday, because I want to actually help you get started on your research. But at this point, what you need to do is look at the announcement that I posted about your case presentation and go ahead and select the cases that you would like chosen for me to choose for you. So I ask you to rank the cases and submit your ranking through an assignment that's in Canvas. So you should be able to find that announcement, download the document from the module. I'll show you where it is. Reorder the cases in the order that you would like to express your preference, and then upload the document to Canvas as an assignment that's already there, and then I'll try to give you one of your top choices. Here is the breakdown of the grading. There are 1,000 points in the course, and this is how those points are broken down. I'll talk to you a little bit more about this. I see a typo there. It's supposed to be pre-test and post-test for pedagogy research. This is just a little research project that one of your North Park peers is engaged in, and we're going to help them out in gathering some data. But I'll go over that with you in detail. Again, class attendance for every class is required. And I will take attendance promptly at the start of the class. And I need to tell you that a single unexcused absence may lead to failure of the course. So there's nothing ambiguous about this. You have to be in class every day. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? As I said before, if an emergency arises and you're unable to attend class, then I'm happy to receive an email from you. Best thing to do is text me immediately when you're aware of the problem, and then within a day, send me some explanation with documentation of the problem that you had that prevented you from being in class.
Did you take attendance already, Dr. Boyd? I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I got on like 10 minutes late. I went to a different meeting or something. It was
Okay.
nobody there.
Do me a favor and just send me an email so I know that.
Okay.
Thank you. And as I mentioned before, SI, it's encouraged that you attend every session of that. That will be on Teams. There's 10 points for every SI session, up to a maximum of 100. So, but even once you hit your 10 times 10, I would strongly encourage you to continue to attend SI because most students in the past have found it very helpful. This is the grading scale that's required by the School of Nursing at North Park. And some of you have questions at some point, but the School of Nursing requires that you complete this course with a grade of C or better in order to be able to apply to the nursing program. There is a date from which you can withdraw from the course with no grade registered. You just get a W on your transcript. That is Saturday, April 10th. So put that date on your calendar if you're concerned that you may need to withdraw from the course. So here's more information on SI, but students may earn 10 extra points per extra credit, up to a maximum of 100 extra credit points. Question always comes up, so I'll just answer it now. Those are extra credit points. So those are not counted in the 1,000 points that are listed here. So those get added after your total is a sum. I will add the extra credit points to that total. Right? So they're truly bonus points. Okay, let's look at the class schedule. So as I mentioned, you have to use technology here, Teams in this case, Respondus in other cases. For me, it's always a good idea to start using that technology about 10 minutes before I'm supposed to be somewhere. Right? So if I'm gonna be on a Zoom call, I always start signing in about 10 minutes early because invariably I have some sort of technical problem. So I'll try to initiate the Teams meeting about 10 minutes before class starts so that if you want to show up and assure you're not going to have technical problems, the meeting will be open. So to allow for appropriate physical distancing on campus and in the classroom, only half of you are to be attending class live any day, and the other half are to be on Teams. So here are the two columns in the class schedule, right? So down this column here is when you're in class, and down this column here is when you're on Teams. And if you're not sure which group you're in, the front half of the alphabet is in section 1, and the back half of the alphabet is on section 2, is in section 2. If you want to find out exactly where you are, if you happen to be in the middle of the alphabet, there's an announcement on Canvas which indicates which section you are assigned to. You can also find it in the very first email that I sent you earlier in January. So on this schedule, you can see that the brown shaded lines are days where we have no class. There's a day in the middle of the term that the university decided was a day off for everyone. There's the day, the Friday before Easter, that's also off. And then you have reading day on May 4th. Any bar that's gray means that you have only exams that day, right? The only exception to that is Monday. Because on Monday, we're going to take a quiz at 12:40, and then we're going to meet on Teams at about 1:10 or 1:15. All right, so otherwise, any bar that's gray means we won't have class that day, you just have exams. So you either have 2 quizzes or you have 1 exam. The quizzes are all 30 questions, paced at 1 minute per, and the exams are all 100 questions, also paced at 1 minute per question. All the questions on quizzes and exams are multiple choice. Most have 5 answer choices. And we can talk a little bit more about that as quiz number 2 approaches. Quiz number 1 is the vocabulary quiz, which is based on the Des Moines online medical vocabulary course. So you should take that course. The instructions are in the syllabus on how to do that. Take that course in advance of Monday. There's actually a quiz for the online course. Go ahead and take that to test your knowledge. And then on Monday at 12:40, you sign into the quiz, take the quiz, and then we'll meet at about 1:10 or 1:15 when everyone's done with the quiz. Then there's a list of university resources and policies. These are all posted to Canvas, but I just wanted to include in the syllabus. If you have questions about any of these things, that's all in the syllabus. And then a risk mitigation statement from the School of Nursing and Health Sciences that just helps us all to be sure that we're safe. So most importantly is that you are to use the Campus Clear app every day and get an indication from the app that you're good to go to be in class. If you have any problems at all, or you feel sick, or someone in your family gets COVID, or you're worried, just send me an email. Let me know that perhaps that day you're going to be online until someone in your family gets their hopefully negative COVID test back. There are circumstances that may change. We just all need to be flexible. All right. Any questions at this point? Feel free to put a question into the chat box, or feel free to go ahead and unmute if you have a question. Omar, I think I see your hand is up, or is that from last time?
Yes, Professor, that was from last time. Thank you for that.
No problem.
I had a question on the case study, the selection. So I did the first 10. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do all like 61. So is it okay if I did the first 10? That I choose which one I wanted?
Sure. I mean, the only problem, Isabel, is if I can't find an assignment for you within the first 10. So what I do is I randomize your names to pick who's going to get their first choice. So I literally put the list of students in the class in a randomizer. It's a computer program that then randomizes your names. And I just start going through the selection. So if I get to you and you happen to be lower down on the list and those 10 cases are taken, then I'm not going to be able to find an assignment for you. So the safest thing to do is to list all of the cases. The chances that I'll actually get down to 61 to find you a case are like 0. In the past, most students have gotten a choice within their top 20.
Okay, cool.
Many students have gotten choices within their top 10.
Because I already submitted, so now I'm probably going to like redo it then, since you just said that.
That's fine. I think the assignment in Canvas is set up so you should be able to just delete your previous submission and resubmit.
All right, thank you.
But since Isabella brought it up, that ballot, that selection form is due at midnight tonight. So if you don't have a preference for the case that you want to work on, that's fine. I don't mind. You make my job easy. You just send me an email confirming that you don't have any preference at all, and I can just assign you a case that someone else doesn't pick. And I'm happy to do that. Or if you don't submit a ballot, I'll do that anyways, but it helps if you send me an email just so that I know you didn't forget to upload the assignment. Alejandra, I think I see your hand raised.
Yeah, hi. So when will we know if we got our choice, like for the case study?
Good question. I'm hoping to do the assignments tomorrow. So you guys, some of you will submit your selection form at 11:50 tonight. I know you will, because that's just how some of you work. Some will take it to 11:58. That's past my bedtime, so I'll be up early tomorrow, and I'll try to get the assignments out pretty early tomorrow. But hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, for sure, you will know which case you're assigned to.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You guys are asking great questions. Keep it up. Other questions?
I have a question about using the lockdown browser.
Yes.
Okay, so for the study rooms on campus, you have to keep your mask on. Will lockdown work with our mask on or no?
That's a great question, Melissa. I don't know. I think there's a possibility it won't. But you know, that's okay. Your video will be flagged because the system uses facial recognition. And if it can't recognize your facial features, then the video gets flagged. So what I would suggest is at the very beginning of the video, when you're starting and you're offering your credentials to the system, you have to show your North Park ID. So you have to take out your ID, show it to the camera. Then if you would, just for a moment, take your mask off, show your face to the camera, and then you can put your mask back on. And I will understand when I see the video getting flagged that the reason it's flagged is because you're wearing your face mask as you've been told to. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Right, Elijah, I think I saw your hand come up at some point. Do you have a question?
I'm good, thank you.
No problem. Omar, your hand went up again.
Yes, Professor. I had a question about the Respondus Lockdown browser. I haven't received my ID yet, so do I just give like my state ID or?
That would be fine. That'd be no problem. Just show your driver's license or any other state issued ID.
Thank you so much.
No problem. All right, I'm not seeing or hearing any other questions at this point. So most classes, you guys are going to do most of the talking. These first two classes, unfortunately, I'm doing most of the talking. So I need a quick break from talking, but let's take 7 minutes. I've got 1:33 on my computer. Let's go to 1:40. So go ahead and you can turn your camera off. You can go ahead and stay on the meeting. I'll leave it open. If you think of any questions in the meantime, you're welcome to put them in the chat, but I'll see you in about 7 minutes. Okay, welcome back, everybody. If you wouldn't mind, I appreciate it if you could turn your cameras on. Thanks to those of you who are willing. It makes it much more interesting for me. So I appreciate being able to see you. So thank you. If your camera is off, please go ahead and turn it on. All right, so let's take a look at what's inside the Canvas course shell. There's a whole wealth of information there, and I want to be sure you're able to find the information that you need. I'm just going to check the text box here. Okay, let's look at what's in the Canvas shell. Okay, can you guys see that okay?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Maybe a little bigger though.
A little bigger. Let's see if I can do that. How's that?
I think that's good.
That's good. That's
Okay.
good.
Great. So this stuff on the left sidebar is stuff you should be familiar with from other courses, nothing different there. This is what's called the landing page. So when you open the shell, it pops up. It lists on the side here things that you need to do. So those are things that are in either announcements or assignments. These little blowhorn things indicate that it's an announcement that you need to review. On this landing page here are some of the things that are also in the syllabus, course description, how to succeed, and I just review the organization of the course in Canvas. So let's start there. So everything is organized in the modules, and the modules are organized by organ system. And then within each module, you'll see the same things for every organ system. So let's go right to that. Wait, before we do that, let's take a quick peek at where the syllabus is. So the syllabus is here under course syllabus. And there's also something called the course plan, which is a document that you're welcome to use and manipulate as you see fit. Let me open it and just show you what it is. But it basically lays out in a different way all of the requirements of the course. Let me make it a little bit larger here. You can see it lists the course learning objectives and then unit level objectives. Tells you then for each unit, it lists for you all of the videos that are in the unit, the chapters that are covered in the textbook that are part of the unit, additional learning activities, and then any use of technology or tools, although that doesn't change much because we use basically the same thing for every module. So what you'll see is that for every module, if you're looking for like a quick list of all the neurology videos, they're there. You'll notice that the learning objectives don't change, except the organ system changes. So for example, here we're talking about the neurologic system, so all of the learning objectives are related to the neurologic system. The stuff that I mentioned to you that was not in the syllabus is all here. So there are a whole bunch of resources that you should take a look at about computer requirements, financial aid, career development, expectations about how you use the internet and how you communicate with others through online communication. Here's the North Park Academic Integrity Policy, what I like to refer to as the Honor Code, but it specifically tells you what the requirements of the Honor Code are. Policies around privacy for a bunch of the tools that we use, Google, YouTube, Canvas, accessibility, accommodations. There's a link to the webpage for the Student Health and Wellness website. And then there's also information about Title IX and how to contact the Title IX folks. Here's the case selection ballot. So this is the document you should use to go ahead and indicate your preference. That's a link. It also appears elsewhere in the shell. Next is the announcements. I will, for the most part, post anything that's important to a Canvas announcement. So I would suggest that you go into your email or use the Canvas app on your phone and set those to deliver announcements to you, either through your email or through your phone. For me, what works best is I downloaded the Canvas app to my phone, and I just have the announcements that pop up on my phone. So I know that if I put in an announcement and it pops up on my phone, hopefully it's popping up on yours as well. If you haven't had a chance yet to do so, please go through and look. It's a long list of announcements for everything to get the class going. So there's a whole bunch of things here. But you know, I won't be posting as many announcements once the class gets rolling. Your assignments are listed here, and so you can see the case selection ballot is here. That's due tonight at 11:59. So you should go ahead and fill that out. And what you'll see when you fill it out is that there are instructions up front, and then it's looking for a file upload. Let me show you where to find that file. If you go to modules and you look under case presentations, it's right here. So the case selection document that you should first download to your computer and then manipulate in the way you want to manipulate it. You can see here, these are all of the cases you can choose from. They're listed in alphabetical order here. Right, so what I want you to do is rearrange them in the order of your preference. So the case you'd like to do most is number 1, and the case you'd like to do least is number 61. So if you use Word and you download this document, you should be able to just select the one that you want to move and just move it in this list, and it'll automatically renumber. All right. So once you've done that, then you save it to your computer. So download it, save it to your computer, name the file with your last name. Although be careful, I should have reminded you because there are 4 of you that share 2 last names. So we have a couple duplicate last names. So if that's the case for you, make sure you include your first name as well. And then once you've saved it to your computer, you go to the assignment and then upload the document to the assignment. And again, I can't see the chat box, so if you have a question, feel free to unmute your mic.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
What's the table in the bottom of the document?
Yes, good question. Thank you. There are 2 steps. Well, there are really 3 steps, but there's a long description of the assignment that we'll go over in detail on Monday. But what this shows you is when your first step is due. So the first step is to create a PowerPoint on your topic, on your case, and this is the due date. So it's organized by system. So you have to know, obviously you have to know what system this, for example, mononucleosis, that's an infectious disease. So it's going to fall under immunology, right? On the other hand, pancreatitis is a gastrointestinal disease. So you'll see it's the due date for that PowerPoint is Friday, March 5th. All right, so it's a good opportunity for me to mention that in my mind, students who choose to do cases in the neurologic system, the musculoskeletal system, or the integument system, that's skin. Students who choose to do one of those cases get extra brownie points in my mind because you're volunteering to step up first. And I really would appreciate it if you're willing to get this work done quickly because you can see the first due date is January 27th, which is not too long from now. But if you're willing in getting this is a lot of work. Those of you who have done it before know it's a big job, and you can get that heavy lifting out of the way right up front if you pick a case within one of these systems. So you would earn my gratitude if you're willing to step up and take one of those early cases.
Would you be willing to accept volunteers right now?
Sure, if you want to send me an email, yeah, I'll give you a preference. So if you want to shoot me an email right now and say, I'll take a case in one of those systems, I'd be glad to award it to you, because typically I need to cajole people to do that. So I will offer plenty of help for you as well, so don't worry.
So even though we don't have like a class on Wednesday, well, we have SI tutor, we still, if you're doing the first section, you still have to submit the PowerPoint on that day as well, even though we don't have a class.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to the modules and let's go from the top. So this is just a little bit about me. You're welcome to take a look at that, but it just gives you some background and information about me, what I've done in the past, those kinds of things. Here are the student introductions, and so if you haven't looked at these, they're a lot of fun to go through. If you haven't put one in, please do so. These are course and learning modules that are either course level or module level. They're the objectives for each of those. This is information about the library. This is a PDF of a PowerPoint that I'm going to show you. We'll probably end up doing that on Monday, although we'll see how the timing goes. These are all of the materials in the course that have a citation. So if you're looking for a reference in particular, you might find it there. Here's how you use Respondus. Hopefully everybody did okay with the practice test. One of the most important points of the practice test is to just give you a chance to try using the system and making sure that your equipment works. So you need to have a working microphone because the system records your entire exam audio. It also records your entire exam on video. So you need to have a working camera and a working microphone in order for you to be able to use Respondus Monitor. There's lots of resources that are available to you through Respondus. If you have questions about how to use it, I've listed those for you here in this document. I've tried to walk you through this installation of the software and making sure that it works and how to use it. You need to be sure that you check the room around you. You cannot take a Respondus exam in a room where there are other people. The system will flag the presence of those other people. So you need to be in a room where you can be by yourself. You need to advise anyone else that's home with you that you'd appreciate it if they wouldn't come in the room, if they could try to be quiet, because the system will pick up any noise in the background. All of your devices except for the computer you're using should obviously be off and outside of the room. So do me a favor and just leave your phone in another room. Just turn it off and leave it in another room. Don't even bring it in the room with you. So it won't go off and you won't be tempted to look at it. Right. Clear your desk of any material except for the computer that you're using. There should be no books, no extraneous material at all anywhere on the surface of the desk you're using. You are allowed to have a single piece of blank paper, because sometimes you might want to do some calculations or use a Punnett square or something like that. It's best to work on a firm surface, not on a sofa or a bed or something like that. You need to be in a well-lit room. Backlighting is one of the biggest problems. So what that means is that you're sitting somewhere where there's a bright light behind you. And if there's a bright light behind you, like a ceiling light or an open window where the sun is coming in, the system is not going to be able to recognize your face. And so try to avoid backlighting. You want the lighting from the room to be coming from in front of you and shining on your face. Right? Also make sure your camera's adjusted so that the video can see your face, because the system does use facial recognition. And your video will be flagged if the system can't recognize your face. Right, I'll let you go over the rest of it, but it's a good thing to review before you take your exam. Otherwise, you know, I'm going to get a video from you that has a lot of flags in it, and I'll be contacting you to let you know that your exam might not even count if there are worrisome flags in it. So try as best you can to set the conditions right, and that'll make it easier for everybody. There's a whole section on how to get help. And students that have had issues with their own computers. Sometimes information technology at North Park can be helpful, but often it's a respondus problem. And if you contact them, most students I have found have discovered that respondus can be pretty helpful in resolving their problem. If you develop a problem while you're taking an exam, sometimes that happens. There's equipment failure, your internet drops or something like that. What should you do? Text me, send me a text message, because I'm monitoring the exam on my computer and I can see what's happening. And so if something happens and you drop off, I need to hear from you so that I can help you resolve the problem and we can get you back into the exam in a timely way and make sure that you have enough time to complete the exam. Right, there's also a student guide here about respondus, so if you want to read that, feel free. We'll talk more about the core cases on Monday, so I'm going to leave that off for now. Just making a note to myself to do that. We'll talk also on Monday a lot about your case presentation. So if over the weekend you want to explore a little bit more, there's a lot here for you to do that. There's a whole set of detailed instructions about what your assignment is and how you prepare your assignment. Here's that ballot to select your case. There's a template for you to use when you develop your PowerPoint. So this is where you start. You download this template to your computer and you build off this template. There are also example PowerPoint presentations and an example YouTube that was produced by one of your peers. She did an excellent job. Her topic was achalasia. And if you don't know what that is, I don't expect you to. You should look it up. But basically, it's when your esophagus loses its ability for motility. So the esophagus doesn't work well in pushing food down. But she did a super job. And those are both posted for you as examples. So you might start there and look at the expectations of a great product. This is a list of all the video lectures in the recommended order that I recommend you watch them. Here are lots of opportunities for practice exams and practice questions. But you can see every major exam that you're going to take, there's a practice exam that you can take in advance. Just click on this. And there are a bunch of questions that you can try answering that are very similar to the types of questions you're going to see on the actual exam. This practice quiz that's here, most of you have already taken this. I sent you a message just this morning after looking at the list. I indicated those who have successfully taken it. If your name wasn't on that list, be sure you get this taken care of by midnight tonight. So you have to get this done by midnight tonight, because I don't want you to have a problem with your system on Monday when you're taking your first quiz that actually counts. Here are more opportunities to practice questions that are associated with multiple choice questions. This one has 100 cases that's not sorted separately by organ system, but there's another reference that I've developed for you here where you can pick any organ system, click on these cases, and there's a case description with a whole bunch of multiple choice questions, and I will post answers for those for you. Now here are all the modules that are organ based. Okay, and you can see that every system has its own module. It has its own module that introduces the system with all the documents, but then it also has its own module that has all your videos in it. So we won't go through all these because they're all organized in exactly the same way. And so once we go through one, then hopefully you understand how they're all organized. But I'm closing all these so that I can show you a little bit of an overview, and you can get a sense that all of the modules here are going to be organized exactly the same way. So in the first module, you'll find all the supporting material that you need. And in the second module, you'll find all of the lecture videos. And the lecture videos are all pretty short. I think the longest videos are like 10 to 12 minutes. There's some that are short as 3 to 5 minutes. It really depends on the topic area. All right, but let's look at one, for example. So this is the neurology module. So the first module that's listed, always going to have the objectives on the top. You're going to have a lecture summary. Now, in the case of neurology, there's actually two, because I put in one on normal. And the reason there's one on normal for neurology is because most students find the neurologic system very confusing. And so a review of the normal is always helpful. So that's actually included in neurology, but you won't find that in other organ systems. So the summaries that are PowerPoints, those are all of the slides that are included in the videos. So every slide for which there's a video will be included in these PowerPoints. So if you're somebody that doesn't particularly like watching videos, you can use the PowerPoints rather than the videos. Then there's also always an outline. And this, I think, is probably your best resource to develop. So if you click on this, what you'll find is a Word outline. So this is in Word, and you can download it to your computer that goes over the entire neurologic system. And so what I would suggest you do, and what other students who have been successful in the course in the past have told me they do, is they download this to their computer and then they enhance it. So they add their own notes as they watch the videos, they read the textbook, they do the activities, they add their own notes to this outline. And then when it comes quiz time, when they can use the open book resources, they can search on certain terms. For example, coma, right? If you've developed information that you've worked on by adding to this outline and you've enhanced the coma description here, right? You may find that the answer to the quiz question is right there, and you found it by searching the word coma. So a lot of students have told me that that's the most useful thing to them, is to take that outline and enhance it. All right, so after you've gone through all of these resources here, additionally, the class activities are also going to be in this first module for the organ system. So there's a headache mix and match that we'll go over in class. But my expectation is that you do that in advance of class, so you come to class ready to review the results. And then here, again, using the neurology system as an example, these are all the neurology videos. So you click on any one of these and it'll take you to the video for that item. All right, so there's the video. I will always keep all your grades in Canvas, right? But just remember that Canvas calculates a grade automatically based on what you've done so far. That is not the same rubric for calculation of your grades that is in the syllabus, right? Because it doesn't include extra points. It doesn't include the fact that I drop your lowest quiz score. There are things in the syllabus, described in the syllabus, about how your grade is calculated that Canvas can't calculate. Whenever it's time to take a quiz, you just go under quizzes, and if it's time to take a quiz, it'll be loaded here, and you're just able to click on it. All of your echo recordings are here as well. All right, so that's a lot of stuff on Canvas. And I wanted to see if you have questions about that.
So I have a question, but it doesn't pertain to Canvas. I know the exams are 100 questions each. I was just wondering what the format is. Like, will there be short answers or like?
They're all multiple choice questions. So always multiple choice. And usually you have 4 or 5 options. Right? And there's a method behind my madness here, right? The reason is that if you're going to proceed as a nurse, you're going to take a lot of multiple choice questions exams. And the big exam you have to take for your certification, the NCLEX, is all multiple choice questions. And they're paced at 1 minute per question. So guess what? The questions you're going to have to answer are all multiple choice questions paced at 1 question per minute. Right, so it's just good training for you to sort of get ready to take future exams.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm just looking in the chat here to make sure that I've addressed everything. Hannah, let's have an offline conversation about your question. Melky, also, I want to have an offline conversation about your question. But as regards respondents from a previous semester, it should be working fine. It's just the purpose of taking the practice quiz is to actually test it. So go ahead and take the practice quiz and make sure that it works. Time for assignments to be returned to you. For exams, you know, for better or for worse, you actually get your score as soon as you finish the exam. So some students love that, some students hate it. You don't have any break at all. You take the exam and boom, there's your score. For assignments that you give to me related to your case presentation, you know, it's a little bit variable in when I get those back to you, but I will try to get them back to you in a timely way, certainly being respectful of the deadlines you have for the next step of that process. Does every module correspond to a week? No, there isn't correspondence to weeks. So unfortunately, some modules take more than a week. Other modules might be a little bit shorter. So don't necessarily think that weeks and modules fit together. Just go by the schedule that's in the syllabus and you'll be fine. So what I suggested to you in my recent announcement was that you put a bunch of things in your calendar. And one of them is when you're expected to be in class and when you're expected to be online on Teams. Right? So if you just go ahead and put that in your calendar, then you won't have to worry about it. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do is go over some of the announcements. So remember, 2 things due today, right? Your ballot selection for your case and your practice quiz. Those are due by midnight tonight, right? So they're both, you know, easy, low-hanging fruit, no stress, no grade, no biggie, right? So just get them done so you've got them finished. So the reason to do the practice test is because some of you will have technical problems. And I just want to help you solve those before your first quiz that actually counts. Make sure you take a look at the syllabus. And in the syllabus, there's this schedule. Make sure you put this into your calendar and specifically look at what days you're expected to be in class and what days you're expected to be on Teams. And then make sure you go through all of the announcements, okay? Because there's a lot of important information in there, and I'm going to hold, just like I'm accountable to the information in the syllabus and the information I put on an announcement, you're accountable to those as well. You're accountable to what's in the syllabus, and you're accountable to announcements that are posted to Canvas or emails that I send you. So I'm just looking through those and making sure that you all know. Also put supplemental instruction in your calendar. That's Mondays and Wednesdays at 11:30. A couple of you had questions about the Catalyst events. So I do not use Catalyst. So there will be no Catalyst events associated with this course. So those 2 Wednesdays, those big blocks of time on 2 Wednesdays, they're February 3rd and March 24th from 10:40 to 4:10. I will not use that time. All right, so that you can take that off your calendar. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, finally, make sure you take a look at the 2 checklists I posted. One checklist was for today. Hopefully you've already gotten all of those things done. This morning, I also posted a checklist for Monday. So I posted an announcement titled Things to Do in Advance of Day 2 on Monday. The day starts at 12:40, our regular class time. But what's the first thing you do at 12:40 on Monday? You log into Canvas and you click on Quiz, and you get started on Quiz 1. So Monday, the first thing you're going to do on Monday is take Quiz 1. And you can start signing in as early as 12:20, but the absolute latest you can sign in is 12:40. Right? And if you're not signed into the quiz at 12:40, you risk not getting any credit for that quiz. Right? So set an alarm, do whatever you have to do to make sure that you are able to start tests on time. All right, so the last thing I want to tell you about in the last 6 minutes is I want to tell you about this study that one of your peers is doing. It's a senior nursing student at North Park. His name is Imran Khan, and he's doing a study about teaching methods. And we would like it if all of you would participate in that study. It's no risk to you, there's no cost. I don't think there's even necessarily going to be any benefit, but the data that we collect is going to be helpful in developing some new teaching strategies. So what I'd like to do is share my screen and play a quick video for you. Let me just go to Canvas here. And the video is a video that Imran did just to introduce the study to you and to let you know what it's about, what he's trying to show, why he's doing this. But there's an announcement in Canvas that I put all the information in. So it's right here, it's the research study. And this gives you a description here. And here's Imran in the video. The only requirement for the study is that you complete a pre-test and a post-test. And you have to take those for the course anyways. The question is whether or not you're willing to let another party, there's another faculty member at North Park that's going to get all the data. So we're not going to see any of the data. It's going to go right to this faculty member. And then this faculty member will use the data to see if you improve over time. And it's basically that simple. But what you need to do is go to this link right here in order to consent. So if you would go into the announcements and then click on this informed consent and agree to be part of the study, we'd all appreciate it. But I'll let Imran say it on his own right here.
Hello, everyone. I can't hear anything.
There's no volume.
There's no volume. You're not getting sound. Let's see. How do we change that? So you guys could see the picture, but you can't see the sound or hear the sound. Is that right?
You can see the video, but not the volume of what he's speaking on.
Got it. Yeah, this is the problem with Teams. You know, I get so used to Zoom. I know how to do it on Zoom, but I'm not sure what the issue is on Teams. Let me see. I'm going to stop sharing and try resharing. Let me see if I can. Ah, there's a button here that says include sound. Okay, I got it. All right, let's see if it'll work now. Try again here. Sorry about that. There's a little snarky button that's sitting there. Okay, let's give this another try. And if you can't hear it, please let me know, but let's hope that this time you can hear it.
Hello everyone, my name is Imran Khan. I am a fourth year nursing student here at North Park University. I'm working on a research project with Dr. Choi and Dr. Boyd, the physiology and pathophysiology professors. We're trying to figure out something that students can do in physiology to help increase grades in pathophysiology. At this point, it is a clinical application worksheet. For the study, students will be asked to complete a pre-test and a post-test. These items will not be graded, rather they serve to assess the effectiveness of the worksheet. The clinical application worksheets may be given one semester in physiology and not in another. This is to compare results of students who receive the worksheets with students who do not receive the worksheets. In order for us to use the data, students need to provide consent for the study. There are no risks in being part of this study. I will not know anyone's name or ID number, nor will Dr. Choi and Dr. Boyd. Therefore, there will be no bias towards those students who consent. This part will be taken care of by a North Park faculty member named Professor Aronson. Lastly, I'd like to ask if you would please consider participating in this study. With your help, we can figure out something that students can do to excel in their pathophysiology course. Thank you for listening, and good luck to everyone in their courses.
All right, do you guys have any questions about the study? So for you guys, and you need to know these things because as healthcare professionals, you're going to be reading studies. They're going to be clinical studies, but this is a teaching study, right? You guys are the control group, right? Because you already all took physiology. So we're going to compare your scores to the scores on to the students in physiology who are going to get these worksheets and take pathophys next. So you guys are important participants in the study because we need a control group. And so you guys are acting as the control group, right? So if you would go into that announcement and click on the link to the Google form and offer your consent, then Dr. Aronson or Professor Aronson, who will be processing the results, can include your test scores in the calculation of the results. Any questions about that study?
Yes. Do we have to have taken physiology at North Park to be part of the study?
Thank you for asking, Melky. No, you do not. So if you took physiology somewhere else, you can still participate. Any other questions?
So all the study entails is basically just a pre-test and a post-test, essentially?
Exactly. Yep, we're not asking for anything else. And you have to take those anyways. I mean, they're part of this course. So you're going to have to take them anyway. It's just giving consent for Imran to be able to use the data that's gathered. All right, well, if you develop any other questions, just let me know. Shoot me an email and I'll address those. But we'd all appreciate it if you wouldn't mind participating. It would be great. All right, so we're done for the day. We're at time. I want to remind you, Monday, 12:40, you start the day in Pathophys by taking quiz 1. That's your vocabulary quiz. You can sign into the system as early as 12:20, but you must sign in by 12:40. Okay? And do take that practice quiz and hand in your ballot for your case presentation by midnight tonight, and you're off and running. So welcome to Pathophys. It's a pleasure to have you all. I'm here for any questions you might have. I look forward to seeing you live and in person. Starting a week from today, I'll see half of you in class. But have a great weekend, and I'll see you online on Monday.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Oh, Professor, I do have one question though.
Sure.
It's just like for the ballot thing, like for the ranking or the like out of like the 61 like topics that we have to pick. So like is it from like 1 to like 61? So like would 1 be like our most desired and then like going down is just like the leftovers?
Yep, you got it exactly. Right?
Gotcha.
So rank them all 1 to 61 with number 1 being your top pick and number 61 being the case that if you get it, you'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that case. That won't happen to anybody, but it just helps if they're all ranked.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Professor.
No problem. See you Monday.
I just had a quick question also.
Yeah.
Is the pre-test and post-test, is it like part of our grade or just like something like?
No, it's not part of your grade. You get 5 points, 5 bonus points for just taking it. And,
Okay.
and it won't be graded.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.